This is Bob Rourke with Business Leaders Podcast. Today we're incredibly fortunate. I am sitting in the dining room of the world headquarters of Denver Legal Marketing with Meranda Vieyra, which I've struggled with the name, and there's an extra Y, but that's okay. And so Meranda, thank you so much for taking time today, and tell us a little bit about your business and who you serve.
Thanks for having me, Bob. I'm excited to talk to you today. So I founded Denver Legal Marketing. My business turns 3 on my daughter's birthday in February of next year. I've been very lucky to be successful. I have really great clients. They are mostly, my sweet spot is solo practitioners and small law firms. I started out with a kind of a Colorado focus, a Denver focus. I'm from here and am looking to support my own community, but word of my marketing firm has spread, and so at times I'm working with lawyers in New York and Nevada and California, and just depending. So
darn, it's such a problem.
It's a good problem to have, yeah.
It's interesting. In doing some research before the episode, you're widely covered and known in Denver. There's a lot of press about you. Why do you think that is?
I think that I'm a little bit unique when it comes to what you would assume a marketing professional or somebody in Colorado legal marketing looks like. So I'm tall. I'm a tall 5'1". I am a working mom. I've been in Colorado law for 20 years, and I think that the way that I serve my clients and the types of clients that I serve is unique. Nobody else is doing this, and so the business community especially has taken notice.
For the attorney or a small business owner that's listening, so you decided in a niche. So for the potential client of yours, and they reach out to you, and before we go any further, how do they find you? How do they find you on social media?
So LinkedIn is really my only place for social media. I think that is the easiest ROI when it comes to reaching other lawyers. And I'm trying to reach lawyers, and lawyers are playing on LinkedIn. I think about 90% of the lawyers in our country have LinkedIn profiles. So LinkedIn is the best way to reach me. The majority of my clients come through word of mouth. Like I said, I've been in law for 2 decades and have worked really hard to protect my reputation. I say what I'm going to do, and then I do it. And I think that travels. So really they come through word of mouth. They go to my website for confirmation of reputation, and then they call.
And the website's denverlegalmarketing.com. And Meranda Vieyra is Meranda Vieyra. So you can find her on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Well, I had to do that to start with because I think the fun part about these episodes is you've really niched down in your market. And we were talking before the episode about why you do what you do. And I think there's some misconceptions about attorneys, and there's a difference you're trying to make in that community. So let's dig into the differences that you're making in that community.
Yes, so it's a big goal. It's a lofty goal, but when you look around and you think of lawyers and you think of law firms, you really just think of the big ones. And truth be told, the majority of the law firms in Colorado and beyond are small law firms. Most of the time, they're solo practitioners, and my goal is to make market space for them. I want more people to start choosing to spend their money that they allocate for legal services by supporting small law firms, keeping their lights on, keeping our Colorado economy booming, and supporting this level of small business in that industry.
I think for a lot of folks, I think they don't necessarily understand the value of having a relationship with an attorney, to reach out to them and use them. Can you talk a little bit about, the attorneys and how they take and develop, or how you see them developing relationships with their clients?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest misconceptions, and I'll start here, is that you can like your attorney. There are 41,000 lawyers in Colorado, 29,000 in Wyoming, so you have lots of choices. And if you are not receiving good customer service, if somebody's not answering your email, they can't guarantee results of things, but they can guarantee that they have a nice business relationship with you, a respectful one. You can take your business elsewhere. I think that you are not stuck when it comes to legal services. There are lots of options, and that you can choose someone that you like to work with, that you have similar hobbies. Your kids go to the same school, that you actually, like I said, like.
Let's circle back a little bit earlier on in your career. And so you've been in some of the larger law firms. How did you get your expertise and perspective on marketing for attorneys?
So I was at one of the premier Colorado law firms for about 10 years. And in that position, in a small business, small law firm, you wear lots of hats. It's just the way it goes. And so it was an amazing training ground for learning legal marketing, really high-end legal marketing, and then also recruiting, and then diversity and inclusiveness, and then business development, essentially, and relationship management. So I spent about a decade cutting my teeth on that in real time, just kind of thrown into the deep end. And what I noticed, because I wore so many hats, and we had a unique law clerk program, I met a lot of young attorneys, probably 20 a year. And when they left our law firm, not all of them went to huge law firms after law school. A lot of them went to smaller shops. And they would circle back to me and ask me, how do I, Miranda, how do I get on Super Lawyers? Or Miranda, how do I, do things? Because I was someone they trusted and someone they knew would always answer their phone or, their phone call or their email. And they were just looking for a little bit of guidance. And I saw this gap, whatever you want to call it, an opportunity in the market. Now it's probably been about 7 years, but I watched it. And I wanted to make sure that there wasn't another marketing firm out there that focused on small law firms, and I just didn't see it happening. And so I decided to take a leap almost 3 years ago, and I had clients before I had business cards, because there's a real need for this.
I think about, you were talking about, I think you mentioned super lawyers, is that?
Super lawyers, yeah.
So, I'm not familiar with the term, and I guess, what does that mean, and why is it important for a solo practitioner?
Absolutely. So, in 2018 and 2019, we're almost at there, third-party validations matter more than ever. If you'd imagine, Bob, how many times do you look at TripAdvisor? When you go out of state, or when you're somewhere, you're looking for a restaurant, where are you going to spend $30 on lunch? You check TripAdvisor and check what do other people say? What are the stars that, the amount of stars that they give? What's their recommendation? And legal services are no different right now. People are checking third-party validations like Super Lawyers, and 5280 has one. It's called Denver's Top Lawyers. Martindale Hubbell is our oldest. It's over 100 years old. So people want to know what other people are saying. So at this point, it isn't enough just to have a recommendation from somebody. People are going to go online, and they're going to Google that recommendation, and then you want to make sure, if you're a solo practitioner, that they Google you, they find you, and that you like what they see. So that's what kind of the value of Super Lawyers and kind of these award and third-party, validation websites.
And so you help them get qualified to be on the Super Lawyer site.
I do my best. You have to. A lot of people assume that it's kind of a pay-to-play type of thing, and it actually isn't. Super Lawyers, a lot of these are peer review. I wish I could pay to get my clients on them, but I can't. At the end of the day, it's going to take a blend of being well known in the legal community, of doing good work in the legal community, of being active, and then also you have to, be involved in their specific platform. Each of these has their own website and all of that jazz. So
and I think about the absence of information. I would imagine that attorneys, when they come out of law school, aren't taught how to be recognized, how to network, and so on. So they know the law,
Right.
but they don't know how to market, is my presumption.
And that's correct. I think that there's a little bit of a gap in that regard, that I think a lot of lawyers could use some help when it comes to business development and marketing and relationship building, and just at the end of the day, learning how consumers, whether that's a business or whether that's an individual, consumes legal services. What do they actually need? And one of the big things I try and help with is understanding that legal services should not be reactive. They should be proactive. So this is a really base example, but hopefully you have a will before you die.
There's a plan for you,
right?
One way or another, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is as simple as that. I'm the mother of 2 little kids, and I worry. I have to have all of this stuff in line. So if something happens to me, that my little girls don't have to worry, and that my family doesn't have to worry. And that's just one aspect of consuming legal services as an individual. I'm also a business owner. My husband and I own 4 businesses total, so we have lots of business attorneys for lots of different reasons. And it's not because we're knee deep in lawsuits. It's because we don't want to be. So
it's really like a booster shot.
Yes.
And I think for many people, they think, well, I'll just save some money. And the challenge is, it's much easier to do the preventative care than it is to fix it after it's gone south.
Exactly. It really is like any other aspect of your life. You shouldn't cheap out, though, when it comes to legal services. It really is something that your contracts as a business owner should be reviewed, at least once a year. You need to look at the insurance aspects of your contract and make sure that not only are you covered, but how about your vendors, and how about all the people that are dealing with you through subcontractor relationships. So more than anything, it really is just about protecting your investment, your time, your employees, whatever it's going to be.
And I think about how that mindset or information is transmitted. Are many attorneys comfortable and adept at setting that up, where they do reviews with clients and set up annual meetings and so on?
That's a hard question to answer, because I think that there's a little bit of trouble on both sides of that coin. So I think some attorneys aren't realizing that there should be there's proactive business to be had with their clients, and then clients are late in the game in understanding what they should be doing right out of the gate when you decide to open a business. So I think it's a little bit of it's a message problem. It's a messaging problem, is really how I would summarize it. Of everyone assumes once your business, your doors are open, and unless you get sued or unless something happens, you're good. And my point in all of this is that there's a way to be proactive and protective of your business, and it's through legal services. And in my ideal world, it's through the small businesses in law. So the solos and the smalls.
So if I'm a solo practitioner and I'm listening and I go, absolutely, I need to reach out to Meranda.
Right.
So what should that person or that attorney expect when they reach out to you via LinkedIn?
So usually everyone comes in electronically, so either through email or sometimes, I get text messages, I get message through LinkedIn, and then we set up a call. And I want to figure out, can I help you? Because I don't want to take on a client engagement where I can't be helpful. I want to figure out how serious you are about marketing your business and business development and relationship building. And usually that's about an hour. Usually it's by phone. Oftentimes when I have lawyers call from, different areas of the country, then it's a follow-up, in person. But yeah, usually it's just a call is really how my door opens with new lawyers.
What's the typical catalyst or the reason why that attorney reaches out to you?
It ranges. So it's usually it can be that the phone stops ringing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can be scary stuff like that where I have marketed. You know, I haven't need to market myself for 2 years. You know, and then all of a sudden the well is dry, and they're wondering why. You know, and then I have other people that are now at a financial level where they can delegate some of this out, where they're interested in growth or expansion, or you know, just to have somebody else handle it. And then I guess I should back up. There's probably a third one where they just want somebody to ask, you know, questions about certain things, just kind of pinch hitter consulting of what should I do with this? Does this award matter? I mean, attorneys are barraged by emails when it comes to awards, and a lot of them are not legitimate. A lot of them won't matter. A lot of them cost a lot of money and you know, end up being kind of junk. So they just kind of want to sift through that and pick a brain of, you know, does this matter? Should I put money or time into this?
So I'm that attorney, and I've reached out to you, and we've agreed that I need help, which I think many people would say. And so what should I expect then within the engagement?
So sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine.
So what's neat, unique, and interesting about what I do is that I am a marketing firm without a lot of marketing materials. That's intentional. I don't want to sell the same thing over and over to all the attorneys of Colorado. So I do a little bit for some lawyers, and I do everything for other lawyers. I will meet with some law firms once a quarter and help them with what they need and kind of deal with bigger strategy, and they handle the day-to-day. So it is a range. I'm pretty much a full-service marketing firm. The only thing I don't do is pay-per-click campaigns. I don't think that you really need legal industry experience to do that. So
in social media, what platform do you typically find the attorneys most preponderance of use? Is that?
Yeah, so I get a lot of questions about Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone kind of comes out of the gate feeling like they should have a Facebook page, and are kind of surprised when I say, not all social media platforms are created equally. So what type of client do you want to connect with? Let's work there, and then backward we'll figure out how to get there if you want to include social media in the mix. Most lawyers, pretty much all lawyers, I feel like can benefit from a LinkedIn campaign, because 90% of lawyers have LinkedIn profiles. So for the attorney to attorney referrals that are usually the warmest ones, regardless of the level that you practice at, that's where the biggest return is going to be, is through LinkedIn.
So with the marketing approach, it would focus both on a potential direct client and also on the referral network?
Yes, and so here's the thing, I'll get questioned on that when, especially with lawyers that have a consumer-based practice, for instance, maybe a criminal defense practice, DUIs, that type of stuff, that's different. And so they're feeling like that's really not going to be the place where they get a ton of new clients, or a ton of business. The way I disagree with that is I say that when you're on LinkedIn, you're networking with other professionals, other lawyers especially. And so I want on LinkedIn for other lawyers to know that you do criminal defense and you do DUI work, because they are a first responder in their network for these types of issues that you may not be able to handle. But when their uncle calls and he needs, someone to draft his will, they know that you handle trust in estates, and they trust you, and they've been seeing you post on LinkedIn, so they know that you're still active in that area. So that's kind of how even a consumer-based practice can use LinkedIn.
We were talking a little bit about an event that you have upcoming, And I thought it was fascinating what you're trying to do. So do you want to chat about that some?
I would love to chat about that. So next week, so it's coming up super quickly, I am looking at doing a salon takeover. So as we discussed, historically, men have gone at business development in certain ways. And we're talking golf memberships, golf, games. You talk about hunting and fishing and all of that jazz. And, I think it's over 50% of the people that are going into law school and coming out are women now. And the paradigm needs to change. Women are able to do business development events and marketing and relationship building in their own way. And what my salon takeover is next week is to pair up 15 women, lawyers, all in different practice areas. So everyone comes together, everyone, we all get a blow-dry hair treatment, not all at the same time, but everyone comes out of there with 14 people to refer business to them. And so my hope is that I continue to do these with similar groups of women throughout the year, just to kind of nurture the relationship building and the referrals, because again, the attorney-to-attorney referrals are the warmest, and see if we can kind of just kind of change the game.
I think that's fascinating. Clearly I could go into a salon. I need hair coloring for sure. This gray hair rinse is really not working for me. But, I think it's a unique approach. And, the mastermind link up networking groups are certainly important to do. So, we've chatted for a while about what you're up to and what you're doing. And now's the part of the episode where I get to ask you a series of questions.
Ready.
Perfect. Influential book or something that's been meaningful for you in your business?
This is a fun one because I have been, a voracious reader my entire life, and now I don't really read for fun anymore. Well, it's fun, but it's related to my business. But one of the neatest books I've read is The Checklist Manifesto. Are you familiar with that one?
No.
It's neat. So it's written by, I think his name is, his last name is Gawande. It starts with a G. But he's a high-level surgeon. And basically what he's telling the world is, even if you're the best, and even if you really know what you're doing and you swear you can't fail, you can. Write it down. Break it down into small steps so you can double-check yourself at every single level, because surgeons, can cut off the wrong arms and they can leave tools in the body. There are lots of reasons to just kind of have a safety net. And this book is smart and just saying we're all super competent, but we're probably not as competent as our confidence thinks we are. And we're human and we make mistakes, and checklists, just simple checklists, are ways to prevent mistakes. So
yeah, there's a lot of study behind that supports that.
Yeah.
And I think about in the business arena, if you have process written down, when your business comes up for sale and they go, we want to bolt your business on, or they could say your processes are so solid, we're willing to pay a premium for your business because the process matters, part of your intangible value.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's a good book.
Yeah, it's a great book.
So if you could put an ad on page 1 of the local paper or the local publication for attorneys sharing your message or advice, what would it say and why?
Oh, being super direct, it would be, to the business owners of the world, especially, small to medium-sized businesses. If you do not consider yourself a stuffy corporation, I would ask you, why is your law firm? And I would ask you to take a good look at who's providing your legal services and ask, does their culture match yours? Do they have women and people of ethnic minorities working for their law firm? What's their footprint in our community? Are they giving back? What do they do? Do they sponsor events? Are they involved in pro bono? Because what I've found is that the small law firms that I work with really give back to our community. They're really doing things that matter. They keep the money here. So that's what my ad would say.
Perfect. Best allocation of time or initiative that's helped you the most?
I think really it's writing things down. I know that sounds pretty simple, but that has been one of the key, I would say, initiatives in my life now and in the past. I remember things and I retain things so much more when I actually write things down than when I type it. You know, I can type just as fast as anybody, but if I really want to retain it, then I write it down. I mean, you see me here with a notebook and, you know.
So when you write it down,
yeah.
Then what? What do you do with it?
So I write it down and then I will translate it, you know, into, you know, a typed format for storage. But that, for some reason, that act of writing down, and there's tons of statistics on why this stuff matters, but for me, it really is a game changer when I'm looking at, you know, remembering or recalling everything about my clients' law firms. I mean, I essentially have to put on, you know, my marketing hat for them, you know, when I'm talking to them, and it's easier for me if I have been writing down these things during our meetings and I recall it better. So I know it's kind of a weird thing in this day and age.
No, I do the same. Most unusual habit, or what others may consider out of the ordinary, that's helped you the most?
You know, I think what is kind of out of the ordinary, and maybe other people do this, but I really do believe that you should hire or work with people that know what you don't. I don't think it's possible to know everything, you know, and we try. You know, I know a lot about legal marketing, but do I know everything? Probably not, you know, and so especially when it comes to business ownership, I really try to hire people that know what I don't, so I don't step in it later. So I'm talking, you know, accountants and business lawyers, you know, even just people to pick the brains of that are more seasoned business owners. I think there's a lot to be learned.
Spot on. I agree there. Past 3 years, belief or protocol that you've established that's most impacted your success?
You know, I really do think that it is, you can do well and do good. So as much as I try to, you know, I have a for-profit business and I have to keep my lights on and all of that jazz, I also spend a tremendous amount of time in my community, the legal community, and I do a lot of pro bono work. So I took on a role with the Hispanic Bar Association, and I've had a similar less structured role with the Women's Bar, but I will do pro bono nominations for people of color and also women attorneys and attorneys of color to try and get more visibility to their practices. If I know that they don't have marketing help or support, if they could really use it, you know, I'll do this stuff for free and, you know, get them on these lists that will make a difference in their practice.
What advice would you offer to a new attorney that's just starting out with their practice? And it's a solo or a small practice.
Baby lawyers. So,
yeah.
The biggest thing, the biggest thing would be your networking starts in law school. So I would actually roll it back before they decide to open their own business. Law school and the legal environment in general is inherently competitive. It just is. But, and we can't control that. What you can control is the way you behave, the way that you treat the people around you, staff, the court system, opposing counsel, the people in your office, because your relationship matters and it carries. And people really do remember, you know, you can be amazing a million times over, but that one time that you know, take out a really bad ruling or a bad day on somebody, that's really what's going to overshadow. So it would be that your networking and your relationship protection starts pretty much from day one.
What's the most common misconception about what you do for law practices, if there is one?
There's a funny one because when I first opened my marketing firm, it's Denver Legal Marketing, so I would get people joking about, well, what's illegal marketing? You know, and then the other one is that, you know, that I'm, you know, that I focus on plaintiff personal injury. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions with regard to what I do, that I am responsible for commercials and billboards and, you know, kind of that more aggressive marketing that you see, because those are the lawyers that you see out there. So that's really the one that I'm constantly saying that's actually not what I do.
Well, to head toward the tail end, I've got a couple of more questions.
Okay.
Over the past few years, what would or should you have said no to, and why?
Without going into specifics, I would just say, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's really, it is trusting your gut. I mean, some of these things, I feel like, you know, you can tell when you're on the right path, or when something is just, when you are not a good fit for a client, regardless if it's your fault or their fault or whatever, but it's not working out. I mean, I've had a couple of those where it just wasn't a good fit. I wasn't the right marketing firm for them, and they weren't, you know, the right client for me. And I wish I had listened to that, you know, because that advice from my gut came early, and I ignore it, you know.
It's a defensive mechanism.
I think so, yeah.
So for the last one, in the day-to-day operation of your company, as the business owner and founder, personal habit or self-talk that keeps you and the company focused?
It truly is the saying that this too shall pass. You know, I have come back to that saying, you know, pretty much my entire adult life, through good times, through bad times, of just knowing that whatever it is, whether it's happy or it's hard, that moment is fleeting. And so enjoy it, or just ride it out, because tomorrow's going to be different.
Well, Meranda, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking time and welcome me into your home and the world headquarters.
This is the world headquarters.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.